In order to further develop our application, we want to set up a simple server that will serve up our data that is required by our application. So far, we haven't learned enough about how we can set up a server that will serve up a REST API. Instead, we will make use of a simple node module called JSON server, which helps us to quickly set up a simple server that will serve up data that is given to it in the form of a JSON file, and also serve up images that might be required by our application. So to get started, let's proceed forward to install the JSON server node module and thereafter set up our JSON server in this exercise. To get started, go to a convenient location on your computer and create a folder named JSON server. The reason why I create this folder is that I can store all the files that are required by my JSON server into this particular folder. Thereafter, we will install the JSON server npm module as a global npm module. So to do that, at the prompt in your terminal, type npm install -g JSON server, and then let that complete the installation of the JSON server npm module as a global module. Now, in case you are doing this on a Linux or a Mac, make sure to use sudo in front of it. Once the installation is complete, go to the instructions for setting up the JSON server, and there we provide a file named db.json. Download this file and name it as db.json and move this file to the JSON server folder that you have created in the previous step. You now see that I have already downloaded the db.json file and then moved that db.json file into the JSON server folder. In addition, I have also created another folder inside the JSON server folder named public. Now, whatever we put in this public folder will be made available by our JSON server as a resource that can be downloaded from our server. Thus, our JSON server acts as a simple static web server that can help us to serve up any resources like images or even a whole website. If you want to, you can copy that into the public folder and make it available to be served up by the JSON server and viewed in a browser. Next, again, go to the instructions and then download this zip file named images.zip, and then unzip this file, and then you will obtain a folder named images, which contains a set of PNG images that we will make use of within our application. So once the images folder is ready, move that images folder to the public folder that we have just created in the JSON server folder. Going to our folder, you see that inside the public folder, I have already moved the images subfolder into the public folder here, and this contains all the images that will be useful for my application. To start up your JSON server, go to the JSON server folder in your terminal, and then at the prompt type JSON server and --watch db.json. The reason for using this watch flag is that this JSON server will keep a watch on the db.json file, and anytime the db.json file is modified, it will reload the db.json file and start serving up the modified data from the server. In addition, we can also give a -d flag with a value, say for example 2000, which means that when the server receives a request, it will serve the data back to the requester after a 2-second delay. Now, this would be used to simulate delay in accessing a server over the internet. So that's the reason why I would also suggest to use the -d2000 flag for the JSON server. And another flag, -p3001, to specify that the JSON server should run at port number 3001. The default port number is 3000 for the JSON server, but since our application is running at port number 3000, so I chose to run the JSON server at port number 3001. So let's start up our JSON server and then you will notice that the JSON server starts up and declares all the resources that are available from the JSON server. So you can see that it has a set of resources that are available in at all these URLs. In addition, the public static server that serves up static data is available at this URL, localhost:3000. Now you can go to any browser, and then if you type in localhost:3000 and /dishes, you will see that this will start serving up our data in the form of JSON array here. So this would be useful for our application. Similarly, you can type leaders, and you will see again the data being served up, and so on. Now, if you want to access the images that are available from the server, I can just type images and then type in the name of a PNG file, and then you will see that it'll serve up the corresponding image. Now, this is very useful for us as we develop our application in this course. With this, we complete this exercise where we have set up a simple server called the JSON server to serve up data and support a REST API that we can access from our application.